Hi everyone, this is always Apple FTD and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can perform an iCloud bypass on iOS 8, 9, or 10, etc. on older iPhones like the iPhone 6, 6S, and 7. Now the reason I didn't mention iOS 7 is because the only device that would potentially be compatible with iOS 7 in this method is the iPhone 5S. But the iPhone 5S requires a lot of extra steps to perform this bypass, and I won't be sharing those in this video. But if you would like a separate video on that, then please let me know. So over here I have two iCloud locked phones. This is an iPhone 6 on iOS 9 and an iPhone 6S on iOS 10. In today's video, we're going to be performing iCloud bypasses on both of these. Now you might be wondering, why not just show it on one device? Well, the reason is, for iOS 8 and 9, the bypass method is different to when you're on iOS 10 and up, and that's why I'm going to be demonstrating on two devices. So let's jump straight into the video. I'm going to start with the easier one, the iPhone 6 on iOS 9. This phone I bought in a lot off eBay, and I relocked it for this video's purposes, just so I can show you. So the first step is quite clear. You're just going to want to connect your iPhone to your Mac computer via the standard USB Lightning connector. Now one thing I want to mention is if you have one of the newer Macs, like the ones with the USB-C ports on the side, not the USB-A, then you're going to need an adapter like this. So you can see I have my standard USB-A to Lightning connector cable, the white one here, connected into this adapter here, and then that plugs into the Mac. You won't need the step if your Mac has the standard normal USB input like this, but on newer Macs they have USB-C. And the reason this is required is if you use one of those normal Lightning to USB-C cords straight, then the phone will actually fail in a lot of steps because the data transfer won't properly be able to function. So that's why you'll need an adapter like this. The next thing we're going to do is download all the required files. The first thing you're going to need to install on your Mac is called Git. This we will use to clone and download files onto the Mac. I highly recommend that you check if you have Git installed first before you do this, because if you do, you won't need to go through all these steps. So we're going to go ahead and pop up a new terminal window. To do this, you're going to go to your Launchpad, and then open the other folder over here, and open the Terminal app. You're going to see that over here. Now, I've been working on some stuff in Terminal, that's why it's going to open up like with all this other code. But for you, it's probably just going to open up a window that looks something like this. This is what you want to see. If the window has more than like this amount of code, then I would recommend just opening up a new window in case you were previously working on something that might conflict. To do this, you go to the Shell menu at the top and select New Window. Or you can also press Command-N on your keyboard. I'm going to close these background windows. Now, to check if you have Git installed, type which, all lowercase, and then just Git, G-I-T. Press Enter. Now you can see it lists a directory here. So I already have Git installed on this Mac, but I'm still going to show you guys how to get it in case you don't, which you might not. If it says not found, for example, if I type which and then something random, you can see it says that not found. So that's what you might see if you don't have Git installed. What you're going to want to do is open up a new tab in any web browser and just Google this. It's going to be source forge, one word, git OSX, one word, installer. Now I know that was kind of fast, but just to repeat it, it's SourceForge, one word. It's not case sensitive, it doesn't matter if you do uppercase or lowercase, and then git OSX, one word, installer. So search that, and you're going to get this website, SourceForge. It says git OSX installer download. So just open that link. You can click download here, and it's going to start shortly in about 5 seconds typically. And you're going to see that boom, right there we have a download. We're downloading a DMG file that will help us install Git onto this Mac. Now don't worry if it says Mavericks, I know that's an old operating system, but it's completely compatible and works fine with the latest operating system. We can double click on the DMG file from here, and then open this first icon here, which is a package installer that looks like the box with the yellow tabs. Double click. You will probably get this message here that says Git version Intel Universal Mavericks cannot be opened because it's from an unidentified developer. To fix that, all you need to do is hit OK. Hit OK again if it says that. Then right click on the file and select Open. Now, it will give you this warning here and ask if you want to override and open it. So just click Open, and boom, we're in the installer. So go through the steps, install, authenticate with your password or Touch ID if you have it, and it's going to quickly install. Should be pretty fast, and it says the installation was successful. So now hit close. If you get this, just hit keep, close that, and then you can just minimize out of your web browser, and then right click on the little DMG file here that was open and select eject. Now we can check if Git was successfully installed by again opening up a completely blank terminal window using either Command N like I just did, or by going to Shell and selecting New Window. Then type which again, and then Git. Press Enter, and it should give you this: /usr/local/bin/git. That means you were successfully installed. Now we can keep this same little window open here and just type git, all lowercase, clone, all lowercase. And now this is the part that we're going to input the direct URL of the folder we're going to download. So you're going to start by typing https, and then a colon, like the two dots, and then a /, another /, just like it would be in a standard web URL, and then github, github.com, /. Now the next thing is all one word. It's very generic name. So one word, very generic name. And in fact, just so you can see this, I think I'm going to zoom in on the terminal window quickly. There we go, I think that looks good. So you can see git clone https // github.com / very generic name, one word, then another /, and then all capitals SSHRD, then do an underscore, like that, capital S, and then crypt. So basically you're saying SSHRD_script. Hit enter. And it says this only because I already have SSHRD script installed on my computer. So I'm just going to go ahead and pause the camera and bypass that. Okay, so I created a new folder called new, so that way I don't get the message saying that I already have it in that destination. But for you, all you'll have to do is just type that command exactly how I listed it, and it will clone it right to your Mac just fine, unless it's already in that directory. But if you're new to this method, it probably shouldn't be. So now we've got the command here again, all typed out. Just hit enter, and it's just cloning into SSHRD script. So we're going to wait for this to complete. And now just type cd, all lowercase, just like that, and then the name of the thing we cloned, which was SSHRD_script. Hit enter. And what cd means, it means change directory or current directory, so we're changing the current working directory to SSHRD script. Now, we are ready for the first step of the bypass. So you can see I've got the phone here on the activation lock page. And what we're going to need to do next is enter what you call DFU mode. Now on the iPhone 6 and 6S, it's actually exactly the same, but on the iPhone 7, the method is a little bit different. I won't be exactly explaining how to do that on the iPhone 7, but I highly recommend you Google how to enter DFU mode on a new iPhone model, and there'll be plenty of tutorial videos and weblogs showing you how. But for the iPhone 6, 6S, and a lot of other devices before that, basically you're going to hold the power button right there and the home button together until you see the screen go dark. Then when the screen goes dark, you're going to release the power button right here, but keep holding the home button until your Mac gives a pop-up saying that it's detected the device. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Power and home together. I'm holding them both down together. And you're going to see that the screen will go black like that. Now we're going to wait and we're going to release the power button, but keep holding the home button down, just like that. And you're going to see in a moment here that we get a pop-up that says your Mac has detected an iPhone in DFU mode. Now in some cases this might not happen, but all you're going to need to do is open up a new Finder window. So you can, if you're in the terminal, you can click anywhere on the desktop to get out of it. And then go to the File menu at the top over there and select New Finder Window. Then scroll down here and you can see we have iPhone in the list of disks over here. And it says iPhone is in DFU mode. As long as it's right here, then you're all good and the iPhone is connected in DFU mode. Now we're going to go back to the terminal and execute some commands. So we're going to type dot or period / SSHRD .sh. This is all lowercase, and then we're going to type your iOS version. Now if you don't know the iOS version of the iPhone you're trying to bypass, just put 12.0 as the default. Because one thing I want to mention about this script is it can only take versions as low as 10.3. If you try to put anything below like 10.2.1 or 10.1.2 or any of that, then it will actually fail to create the RAM disk that we're trying to create. So if your iOS version is anything below 10.3, then just put 12.0. And if it's above that, then be specific. So because this iPhone here is on iOS 9, like we discussed, we're going to put 12.0. Then press Enter on your keyboard, and you're going to notice it's going to start to do some stuff here. First, it's using the git command that we used earlier to clone into something else that's required for this script. And if this is your first time doing this, it may take 2 or 3 minutes to do all this. And once it's done, you should get a success message. Here it says getting device info and pawning. This may take a second. And now you're going to see all this code. So that was Finder that just popped up here. It says it's detected the device. If Finder pops up a few times during this process, it's actually totally normal and fine, so don't worry about that. And that was pretty fast. It says finished. Please use ./sshRD.sh boot to boot your device. So that's what you're going to need to do. So all you need to do is basically just highlight this command here so you don't have to type it manually. Press Command C on your keyboard to copy, and then press Command V on your keyboard to paste. Then hit Enter. There's going to be a few bars here. I'm just going to zoom out quickly. You're going to see the little logo is going to appear on your phone. That's going to look like this. It's going to send a few files. And note that this is completely safe, it's completely trustworthy, and don't worry at all about any of this stuff. It will not harm your iPhone or the computer. And looks like we're done. You can see it says device should now show text on the screen. So now that we got that, we're going to type another thing. So again, it's ./SSHRD.sh. Keep in mind that this is all lowercase, and then SSH, also all lowercase. Press Enter, and you see it says localhost root. So that's exactly what we want. We've now achieved an SSH connection via USB onto our iPhone from the computer. First thing you want to do is type cd all lowercase, and then a /. No space after that, just hit enter. And you can see the localhost will change. It's a little small, but it changes to the / there. Then you're going to want to paste this command. I'm going to have it up on screen over here. It's kind of a long, complicated command. That's why I have it over here. It's mount_HFS, take this slowly, /dev/disk0s1 s1 space /mnt1. Basically what we're doing is we're mounting the file systems on the iPhone so that we can delete the setup app. So I'm going to copy that, can close out of that, and then paste it in using Command V, hit enter. And if you see this message here, it's totally normal. Could not create property for rekey environment check, no such file or directory. That's fine. Just press Command V on your keyboard to paste the same command in one more time and run it again using enter. When you see this thing that says resource busy, that's perfect. That means that we've already mounted it, which means that the first command was successful. Now we can type cd, all lowercase, mnt1 /applications. And something very important that I want to say here is that applications has to have a capital A at the beginning. So then hit enter. And you can see the directory changed to mnt1/applications. Now type ls, no space after it, and hit run. You'll see all these files here that end in .app. These are all the applications that the iPhone uses. So you can see here we have the fitness, the game center, the health, etc. These are all the apps that you would typically see on your home screen, but they're also system internal apps. So if you scroll around here for a little bit, you'll see this one that says setup.app. The setup.app is basically the setup wizard that contains the activation lock. You know the screen that's white that says hello? Press home to set up or slide to set up on iOS 9 and earlier, and then you get the activation lock. So we're basically going to delete that entire app, meaning that the next time the iPhone boots up, it's going to boot up to the home screen instead, because that setup app will be gone. But one thing that I want to mention is in case things fail, if your device is on a rare version, I would recommend not completely deleting the setup.app from the file system, because if you do, you won't be able to recover it. And then if something goes wrong during the process, or it fails for some reason, your device will permanently be bricked. And in some cases, forcing you to restore to the latest iOS version, which I would imagine most people wouldn't want. So instead of deleting it, we're just going to rename it to something else, so that the system doesn't recognize it. So to rename it, we're going to type mv, all lowercase, and then setup.app, and then type anything. So I'm going to type setup.bakk, just anything, like back, anything like that. Hit enter, and if you get an error like, oh, not found, or something, that means you maybe mistyped setup.app, or something went wrong during the command process. But if you don't get any output, that's perfect. We can type ls again to list everything, all lowercase. And you can see if we scroll to where the setup.app was in this list, it's under setup.back, because we renamed it to that. Now just type reboot, all lowercase, and press enter. I'm going to show you the phone is going to reboot. Boom, the phone is rebooting. So what we've basically done, while this boots up, I'm going to give an overall of the steps we completed. First, we cloned and downloaded SSHRD script onto the Mac. Then, we created the RAM disk. Then, we booted the RAM disk. And finally, we renamed the setup.app to something different so the system can't find it. And boom, look at that. There we are on slide to unlock. Now, you might be wondering, why is there a passcode on here? You should never ever see this passcode screen when you delete the setup.app. The only reason this is because I set a passcode on this phone before, and you might notice that also the Touch ID works to my finger. And the reason that is is because I set up this phone previously with all my details, and then I put the setup.app back in place for this video, just so that I could show you. So that's why I have Touch ID set and the passcode. But there should 100% not be a passcode, and it should be a completely wiped and fresh device once you're done with this process. So if you want to review any parts of that previous video or any of the steps, then please go ahead and do that. Because for some people who are new, they might need to see things a few times. So it's totally fine, and review it as much as you need to. Once you're all good with that, we're going to move on to bypassing this iPhone 6s on iOS 10. I'm going to demonstrate the iOS 10 method in this video as well, like I explained earlier, because the method is a little bit different and requires an extra step. But you won't need to download any extra tools or anything because it's built into SSHRD script already. So let's begin with that process. Again, I'm going to disconnect this phone, and I'm going to start by connecting the iOS 10 phone to the computer. You're going to see it's charging up there. Now we're going to enter DFU mode. As you remember, that was one of the first steps on the phone. Just as a refresher, I'm going to do it again, but I mentioned it was the same method for the iPhone 6s and 6. The 7 is a little bit different though, so just Google how to enter DFU mode on that one if you don't know. So we're going to press and hold the power and home buttons together until the screen goes dark. So holding them both together, wait a bit, and then release power button, but keep holding the home button down. And let's see if we get a pop-up this time. Oh, interesting, possibly not. Let's check it using the method that I explained though. So we're going to click out of the terminal, go to the Finder File menu here, New Finder window, and then there we go, we have iPhone down there. Not sure why it didn't show up that time. It should most of the time, but if it doesn't, just do that check, because I am aware that that's an issue that sometimes happens, where it doesn't always detect the phone right away. So now we can go back to the terminal window with SSHRD script, and depending on the iOS version of your iPhone, like I explained, if it's below iOS 10.3, then just put 12.0. You saw that worked fine for the iOS 9 device. But because this phone is actually running iOS 10.3.3, we're going to put 10.3. So we're going to go /sshRD.sh, all lowercase, and then 10.3. You can see we've got /sshRD.sh 10.3. Hit enter. It's going to get the device info. And you're going to see that code going up again. So I'm going to set the phone down for a moment here. And in a moment here, we're going to be all done with the RAM disk. So you can see that it's the same instructions as before. Use /sshRD.sh boot to boot your device, but we're actually going to type a different command because we're not actually wanting to boot it into the RAM disk. Now this special method is only for iOS 10 and up. So instead we're going to type /sshRD.sh and then reset. What this is going to do is it's going to perform an erase on the iPhone, almost like it would if you clicked erase all content and settings in the settings app, but from DFU mode instead. So we're going to hit reset. Enter, sorry. Same thing. And then it's going to boot up. And you can see we're going to get an Apple logo. And it says it's done. And in some cases you might not get that. I tend to notice with this phone you get this little bar here, that exact bar there. In some phones you might not get that. That's completely normal. Now you have to be very quick with this. What you have to do is enter DFU mode right after the second boot. So right after the Apple logo appears. So we're going to release the power button and keep, oh, that didn't work. I'm really sorry about being so quick with this, but the reason I'm quick is we need to enter DFU mode before the device boots up on the second Apple logo. Release the power button, but keep holding the home button. So let me explain that quickly. I know that was a little bit quick for sure. Basically, what this is doing is it's resetting the iPhone, but it's also resetting the file system. So on iOS 10 and up, Apple implemented a function to stop people from deleting the setup.app, where it checks every time the iPhone boots up if the setup.app is part of the file system. But when you perform an erase though, it resets the file system. So if the setup.app is not there on the first boot, then it's almost as if it wasn't ever there and the iPhone treats it like it never existed. But if you let the iPhone boot up on that second Apple logo, then you lose that and you have to reset it again. So now that we're in DFU mode again, we can return back to sshRD script, and this time we're actually going to use the boot command. So /sshRD.sh and then boot, press enter, and it's going to boot with that RAM disk logo again. There we go. There's the verbose text, completely normal and fine. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do basically the same thing, but there's a few adjustments that we're going to make. So remember before, we used that mount HFS command to mount the file systems. But iOS 10 almost did us a favor and made it easier. You don't have to do that complicated HFS command, which was right here, anymore. All you have to do is first SSH into the device like before, using ./sshRD.sh and then SSH, press enter, and then again we're going to do CD / all lowercase, and then instead of doing that complicated command with all the numbers and letters, we're going to just type mount _ file systems, then press enter. You can see it's taking a little bit, and I wasn't showing the phone, but the verbose text should scroll up a little bit over here. Now we're going to type CD, all lowercase, MNT1, same as before, /A applications. So the word applications, but with a capital A. Press enter. Now you can see we changed the directory to applications. Now we're going to do the exact same thing as before, where we rename the setup.app to anything. I'm going to do the same thing as I did before, setup.back. So we're going to ls, and this lists all the files. So you can see we've got the setup.app right there, the application that contains the activation lock. We're going to type mv, and then setup.app, which is what we're renaming, and then we're going to do setup.back. Now you can rename it to anything you like, as long as it's a name with a dot and then an extension, if you know what I mean. There we have setup.back right there. We're going to type reboot, like before. Here's the phone. Boom, we're rebooting. Now, the boot won't be instant, because if you remember, we previously erased the device before renaming the setup.app. So if everything was correctly, you should see this bar here, which is completely normal. It's the second bar in the reset process. And I think I'm going to set this down here and just speed it up. And you'll see that when we boot up fully, we're going to be completely iCloud bypassed. Just like the iOS 9, we're going to be on the home screen. Or I guess the lock screen to be specific. That was kind of fast. And boom, look at that. This one I didn't previously set up any Touch ID or passcode on, so you can see it's completely fresh and wiped. And if we go into settings, and the iCloud account is completely gone. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video. That's how you create a RAM disk, boot the RAM disk, rename the setup.app, and completely iCloud bypass your older iPhones like iPhone 6, 6S, and 7 on iOS 8, 9, and 10. One thing that I also want to mention quickly is that this should also work on iOS 11 and up, but just be careful when doing this because I tried it on an iOS 11 device and it gave a lot of glitches, and I'm not sure if that was due to the iOS version or just that specific device. I have a feeling it was that specific device because the issue that I was running into was very unnormal in this type of bypass, but just proceed with caution if you're doing iOS 11. It should work, but just keep that in mind that you may run into some issues. And if you're doing iOS 11, then just perform the iOS 10 method that I explained in this video. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, and of course, as always, subscribe to my channel for more cool content like this. That's it for now, and I'll catch you in my next video.